There's lots of space to my left. Who's going to be brave? You're going to be brave. Thank you, James. Follow James. These are better spots over there. As we find ourselves in this space and find ourselves with our masks back on, covering our noses and mouths, help each other feel safe in this space with our masks covering our nose and mouths, but not our spirit, not our voices, not the purity of our intention to carry forward a feeling of Shabbat that we've just welcomed in. Page 636, 636, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh, Avarachaman, Meshoch Avdecha, Eretzonecha, Yarutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayal, Ishtachaveh, El Mul Adarecha, Yerav Lo, Yedidutecha, Minof Etzuf, V'chol Tam. 636, Adonai, Ziv HaOlam, Nafshi Cholat, Ahavatecha, Ana Erna, Refana La, Behar Odla, Noam Zivecha, Al Titchazek, V'titrape, V'haydala, Simchat Olam, Vatik Yemunah, Rachamecha, V'chusana, Al Ben Ahuvecha, Ki Zekama, Nifsof Nifsafti, Lirot Betiferet, Uzecha, Eili, Vaychem Dativi, Hosana, Ve'al Nati Talam. 636. Higalena, Upros Habibi Allah, Et Sukat Shelomecha, Ta'ir Eretz Mikevodecha, Nagila, Nagila v'nismecha bach, Maher ahu,
Hi, everyone. I just want to do one note. I'm going to take off my mask because I COVID tested for this service. Thank you all for keeping your masks on. It's so that we are all comfortable in this space and we can enjoy and pray together. So I am actually going to stand up. Unless you're set up. Oh, actually, not really. Okay, so I just want to see. I can't say. I'll squat. Okay, great. So yeah, it's better to see everyone. So this week I've been thinking about the word Shabbat, right, which we say all the time, but I don't often think about what it means. And it's Shabbat is written, and it's in your prayer books all over the place, right, with a shin and a bet and then a tav. And I bet some of you do know what the meaning of that word is. Can anyone throw it out and tell me?
Throw out Shabbat?
No, keep Shabbat in your heart forever. But what does the word mean? So yeah, just shout it out, sorry, if you know. I'm hearing cease. Ooh, I liked that. To sit. Oh, okay, perfect. We have this Lashevet. Okay, so the Shabbat more simply means to sit, that's where I'm going. Thank you. You're ahead of me here. Shabbat actually is from the root that's to stop. So to cease, to desist from work, right? And to rest. And that is how we understand it, as the day of rest. But there's this other word that shares all three of those letters, not the root technically, but in the infinitive form of the verb to sit, we have lashevet, which shares those three same letters. So you're exactly right where I'm thinking. I was wondering, okay, what's the connection here, right? Shabbat and to sit with sitting. Lashevet can also mean to dwell. And so that's one connection, that on this day, this one day of the week, God's presence dwells on earth. And God's presence may always be accessible to us, but on Shabbat, we really feel it in a way that's much more palpable than the other 6 days of the week. But I think there's something else we can read into this verbal association of Shabbat and to sit, which is that in order to enjoy a full day of rest, we actually have to figure out how to be at rest while we're awake, right? And sitting is one of those opportunities to allow our bodies to be fully at rest. So as the cantor continues to play us beautiful, relaxing music, I'm going to invite us to do a very brief little moment of awareness of how we're sitting. So if you would like to, you can close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. And try to sit such that your neck can rest on your spine, and that your head rests on your neck, which is resting on your spine. And now bring your awareness to where your body is making contact with the bench or a chair. And see if you can, with a breath in and out, give the weight of your body over to that seat. Allow the seat to support your body in a posture of rest. And finally, notice if there is any tension in your body. And you can breathe into that place of tension and breathe it out. And with a last deep breath, we'll open our eyes and come back to this space of rest and continue with Lechuna Ranana on page 130.
Page 130 in the lower right-hand corner, the brackets. If you have to choose numbers, choose the ones in brackets that are straight and tall, just like those backs. Lechuna Ranana L'Adonai Soishenu Nekarim Afanav Betodah Bizmirot Narialo Shirul Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Pasru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai u'me'ulam me'od, nora'u al kol Elohim, kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hod ve'hadar b'panav, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלוא ירושלים וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני, כי לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט הבל צדק, ועמים ומישרים, עלי, 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 Turning to page 137 in the middle. Before we continue, just have to say it's so nice to hear you all sing so beautifully. Never take that for granted again, will we? Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Ay, 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 shalom. Ay, 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 shalom. Just our voices, Vashalom. Ay, 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 shalom. Ay, 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 shalom. Let's sit with that for a moment or two. Verse 5. בשמחה ובצורה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי Page 140 in the middle. Sarikatama Ifra Keves Albanon Iske Shetuli Bevet Adonai Bechatzrot Elohim Yafritu Od Yenuvu B'Seva. Sing it louder, Joe. Tishem, I see you on Zoom. Verananim, hi Jan. Yiyu Behagi Ki Ashar Adonai Suri Elo
Shabbat Shalom. I'm just going to hold it up. You don't mind grabbing that? Talking about the mic? Shabbat Shalom. One thing that they don't tell you in rabbinical school is that when you get ordained, suddenly everyone you know feels compelled to give you Judaica. Some of you perhaps might have been compelled to give me Judaica. Don't get the wrong idea. I love it. Menorahs, yads, shofars. I love receiving Judaica. Sometimes a gift card might be nice, but giving a rabbi Judaica makes perfect sense. In my short career of happily accepting Jewy gifts, I have somehow come to own no less than 3 statues of Moses. I have one right here. You know I love a prop. 2 of them actually look exactly like this. Replicas of Michelangelo's famous 16th century sculpture, which is in fact, as you may know, one of the most recognizable images of Moses in the world. And most scholars understand that this exact sculpture is actually based off of this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa. We read at the end of the Parsha that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, his face beamed with radiant light, a sign that he had spoken with God face to face. Represented here with these beams of light coming out of his head. And of course, as we know, they're somewhat questionable. Medieval sculptors made Jews look like that, and it led to all kinds of anti-Semitic tropes, but be that as it may. He's also got the tablets of the law there, the 10 Commandments, and also just what we understand to be the tables of the law in our tradition as a nod as well to this week's Torah portion. And his left arm, flexing actually an impressive bicep, seems ready for battle. It's actually, if you think about it, kind of a confusing, complex mix of imagery. And it's unclear what's going on in his mind through this depiction, yielding many theories over the centuries. Even Sigmund Freud weighed in on this specific representation of Moses and what it was trying to convey emotionally. In Freud's view, this sculpture expresses Moses' deep pain, mingled with contempt toward the Israelites, which you wouldn't necessarily assume just by looking at it. But returning to the Torah portion, we get a better sense of why this reading and this interpretation might be true. After spending 40 days on Mount Sinai, receiving instruction from God, the people at the foot of Mount Sinai, or at the foot of the mountain, lose faith that Moses will ever come back. They convince his brother Aaron to make for them an idol to worship, giving them their jewelry, which he fashions into the famous golden calf. When Moses descends the mountain and sees the people idol worship with his own eyes, he becomes furious. He hurls the tablets of the law onto the ground, thereby destroying them. It's one of the most evocative, famous moments in the entire Torah. Moses comes down from Sinai with the tablets of the law written by God, God's self, sees the people partying around the golden calf, and with a crash of the tablets, the party's over. He destroys the handiwork of God. You might think that Moses would regret doing so. And it's true that some rabbinic texts criticize him for acting out of anger in this moment, destroying the tablets of God. But many more commentators suggest that this was exactly the right thing for Moses to do. Talmudic sages go so far as to say that God was delighted when Moses destroyed the tablets. Reish Lakish suggests that God says Yasher Koach, in fact, directly to Moses in this moment. The rabbis reason that according to Jewish law, heretics are not allowed to perform certain commandments. And if that's true, then the Israelites didn't deserve the uniquely sacred tablets of the law in this particular moment of their heresy. The rabbis understood the tablets of the law as synecdochic of the entire Torah. And so if the people were not willing to accept the Torah wholesale, then they didn't deserve the tablets at all. An early 20th century commentator known as the Meshech Chochmah goes one step further. Its author, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, suggests that until this moment, the people actually treated Moses as a kind of demigod himself. And while he was away on top of the mountain, when the Israelites' earthly conduit for God was gone, they couldn't help themselves but turn to other physical entities which they could see. They might have repurposed the existing sanctuary or tabernacle for idol worship, and therefore the people might have bowed down to the tablets themselves should they have received them in this mindset of needing a physical manifestation of the divine. In this reading, Moses shattered the tablets as a safeguard against the tablets themselves becoming idols. Clearly, if the people were so fragile and anxious that they needed to build a calf when they didn't have a physical expression of God before them, the people were not ready to receive the far holier tablets of the law. At this moment, the Meshech Chochmah explains, Moses understood their error and became enraged. If he were to bring them the tablets, they would have simply exchanged the calf for the tablets and would never have corrected their error. In other words, Moses needed to teach them a lesson. That in fact, nothing tangible will ever approximate the awesome power of a God that is invisible, a God whom the Torah insists upon believing. We might be more charitable to where the Israelites were coming from. Recently freed from slavery, nervous, dependent on a leader that they can see to give them guidance? What reason do they really have in their minds to believe in an invisible God? Many of us struggle with the very same idea when we may not ever feel like we encounter God directly. How could we be certain that God exists? Understandable though this might be, Moses still destroys the tablets to disavow the Israelites of this attitude and to teach them this lesson. Even the places and things we think of as holy, for them, all kinds of different things as prescribed in the Torah, but for us, our synagogues, the land of Israel, our ancient texts, and more. All of these different things can become idolatrous if we are not careful to remember that they are not holy themselves, but merely containers for the holy. Over the years, some of you have shared that you, in fact, feel uncomfortable about kissing the Torah when it is paraded about in services, since doing so feels a little bit like idolatry. Not naming names, you know who you are. This feeling has an ancient precedent in Moses in this week's Parsha, or at least in the way that the Meshech Chochmah describes him. Those entities that we often think of as holy are merely tools for us to access God. This beautiful chapel, the ritual items and Judaica that we use, the prayer books in our hands, are only holy if they allow us to access some deeper meaning in our prayer experience. And indeed, the words of the prayers themselves are not inherently holy unless we allow them to bring us closer to an experience of the divine. There's a reason why we don't typically have sculptures like the one I shared just here in our synagogues, the way that we might find in some churches. We are good at discerning idolatry in things that look like idols. But there may be things we treat as idols even if they aren't quite so obvious. As we look at our own Jewish experience today, we might ask ourselves, what are the things that we hold sacred? Is it prayer? Is it a certain melody that we depend on to feel like we're praying? Is it a relationship with a certain clergy person, or a certain place, or a certain idea? Is the continuity of any of these things truly sacred? Sometimes we look at continuity itself, communal continuity, or the continuity of our ritual tastes, or even continuity of the things we cherish in our secular lives, as if they are sacred, but without some higher purpose. Focusing our energy on these things may approach idolatry. Because what makes something truly holy is the extent to which it is a vessel for some holy mission. And so, sometimes, it becomes necessary to break the things that we think of as holy, to remember what actually is. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach. We continue on page 144 with Chatzi Kaddish. If you're able, please rise and welcome those who are looking for seats. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בלמד יברח גלותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד. Please be seated, page 148. וליום הלילה ולא בני חושך, וחושך מפני אור מעביר יום. ומביא לילה מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים. 150. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. 154. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 158. Who is like you, Adonai? 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 Malchutecha ra'u banecha, pokei hayam לפני משה ומרים. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
On Shabbat, we're invited to bring our full selves into this sanctuary space. And that's why we begin with joy, because it kind of helps to warm us up and open us up and help us to celebrate all the things we have to celebrate, like being here in this really full and wonderful community to celebrate Shabbat. We're celebrating that we have snacks. It's very exciting. And that, we hope, kind of helps you come into this space. And that's why we start with this joyous melodies of Kabbalat Shabbat. But those aren't the only feelings that we carry into this room. We all know we come from very different places, having had different experiences. And there is room for all of the feelings we bring here in the prayer service. And that's where we're going now. We go to the prayer Hashkivenu and then Mishaberach. And these prayers actually ask us to let down our guard a little bit and to acknowledge, to confront maybe the feelings we have of vulnerability, of fear, of sadness. And the Hashkivenu prayer, it's associated with evening. It's only an evening prayer. And I think there is something to the evening, which can kind of bring up those darker feelings. Sometimes they emerge. But it's very intentional, I think, that we don't go home and pray these prayers alone, right? We pray them in community because we actually want to be present with one another in those feelings. And we draw strength from praying together for the blessings that we all need. So we'll proceed with Hashkivenu on page 160.
If you're on Zoom and like to start typing in names of people in need of healing, please feel free to do so. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim Uvros Aleinu Sukat Shelomecha V'takenenu והסר מעלינו אויב ממנו עמוק והפשע בצל כנפיך תסתירנו כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה כי אל חנון ורחום אתה ושמור צדקנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום ואתה ויד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ירושלים. 371. מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו may the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say Amen.
So Misha Berach is our prayer for healing, and we can all bring to mind and to our heart the names of those we know who are in need of healing of body, mind, or in soul. And if you're comfortable, you can share those names aloud in this room so that we can be with you and bring those people into our prayers as a community. So as I look around the room, feel free to share the names. For all of these people, we pray for a refuah shlema, a complete healing wherever possible, and rest for their souls.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, We turn back now to page 162. The familiar words of Vishamru actually first appear in this week's Torah portion. And so we have a special setting of these words tonight by the late cantor William Charlin. Following that, we'll enter into our silent prayer from pages 164 to 181. We rise, if we're able, on page 162.
לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
Page 182. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elokei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, ve'Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, Elokei Leah, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim, וארץ מגן אבות ואימהות בדברו וחיי מתים במאמרו האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו כי בם רצה להניח להם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד וירא פחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, בעון הברכות. אל ההוד ההוד, אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה לעם מדושני עונג. זכר למעשה וראשית. Page 586 at the bottom. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, התהי גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא. In the middle of page 590. כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, כך כתוב בתורת careful with those curtains. They're brand new. Rabbi Green, is this broken music stand a commentary on your Devar Torah?
You got it. That was exactly right. That was precisely what Eliza was thinking. And, and thank you as well. I should note to, I think we said this before, but our congregant Dave Overcamp, who helped us fix those curtains, is that right?
The lighting inside, yeah.
The lighting and
Leslie Frischberg, our congregant.
that's right. Leslie Frischberg helped us with the
Please be
curtains.
seated. Right?
We, in addition to being seated, Molly, don't go anywhere. We'd like to call you up, Molly Silberg, to offer us a few announcements on behalf of our Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Ooh, is this a beautiful sight to be here with all of you this evening. I want to start by thanking our clergy, Rabbi Matt Green, Cantor Josh Breitzer, and rabbinic intern Eliza Scheffler for leading us so beautifully this evening. Thank you to the entire CBE staff who works tirelessly each and every day to keep everything moving and to get everything set up for us, and especially Nate Jaffe this evening for supporting us in person and on
Everyone
Zoom
say Shabbat Shalom, Nate.
Shabbat Shalom, Nate. Thank you to the CBE Jazz Quintet, Sam Bardfield, Sean Morin, Aiden O'Donnell, Paul Francis, and Michael Winograd for playing so beautifully this
Actually,
evening.
in tonight for Sam Bartfield is Rob Hecht.
Thank you, Rob.
He took a break from Taylor Swift to be with us tonight. Rob has actually played with Taylor Swift, is that right? Yeah, okay, so you can ask him what that was like afterward.
I think we all felt that spirit this evening. And thank you as well to our sound engineer, Stas Olshansky, and his assistant, Gabi, for providing additional technical support in person and online. So, Shabbat morning services tomorrow with the bar mitzvah of Ezra Borstein will take place at 9:30 in the morning in the sanctuary and on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook Live, and our website, so lots of places to tune in. Shir LaShabbat with Debbie Bruckman for ages 0 through 5 is in the social hall at 9:30. And if you RSVP'd for the Brooklyn Jews Oneg following services, please head into the boardroom following Kiddush. And if you didn't RSVP, you can check in with Eliza. So, save the date for Purim. Flash back 2 years, flash forward. We're here now. As we look forward to our Purim celebrations this year, we can't help but realize that it marks 2 years since we were all able to celebrate Purim together in person. I remember we thought the touchless Hora was going to be our saving grace, but we made it through. But all the more reason to follow the Jewish tradition for the month of Adar and find ways to increase our joy. Visit cbebk.org/Purim to learn more about everything Purim at CBE this year. Before we get to Purim, though, we have Shabbat next week, as we do every week. But next Shabbat is with Antioch Baptist Church. We will kick it off with a Kabbalat Shabbat service in the CBE at Sanctuary at 6:30 p.m., after which congregants from both of our communities are invited to a delightful Shabbat dinner in the ballroom. I'm not going to sell that too much because we are at capacity, but if you want to join the waiting list, you can reach out to Nate Jaffe, who we all said hello to earlier, to be added to the wait list. He'll be in touch if space opens up. But all are welcome to join us at services at CBE on Friday night and at Antioch Baptist Church on Sunday. No RSVP required for the services. It's a beautiful partnership. I hope to see you all there. Finally, have you signed up for one of our CBE small groups yet? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check the website, check the advisory. There's more information there. And if you want to suggest a different small group that's of interest to you, you can also do that. You can reach out to Rabbi Jason Gitlin, CBE Small Groups and Community Engagement Specialist at jgitlin@cbebk.org. Okay, there's always a lot more going on, but you can check the website, check the advisory, as I said. But in the meantime, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Molly. As our service draws to a close, as we do each week, we turn to the words of the mourner's Kaddish. And if you are here observing Shiva, or the first week of mourning, we want to invite you to rise and share a name of someone whom you're thinking of. If you're here observing Shloshim, or the first 30 days, of losing a loved one, please rise and share a name. And if it is Shana for you within a first year of losing someone, please rise if you're able and share a name. And if you're here to observe a yortzeit or the anniversary of a death, please rise and share a name.
My grandmother, Sylvia Phillips. My grandfather, Joseph Mayer.
In solidarity with our mourners, I invite you all to please rise as we think as well of those whom we've lost in the past 30 days. Rana Heller, mother of Risa Heller, mother-in-law of Ryan Toohey, and grandmother of Vivian, Ezekiel, and Penelope. Gilda Frisch, mother of Jeffrey Frisch, mother-in-law of Stacy Obadia Frisch, and grandmother of Claudia and Evan. Isaac Steinberg, father of Stephanie Steinberg, father-in-law of Daniel Schachter, and grandfather of Ilana. Raymond Feinlin, father of Laura Katz, father-in-law of Stephen Katz, and grandfather of Joshua. David Sarfati, father of Jared Sarfati, and father-in-law of Alina Satin. Ellen Dean, mother of Karen Bowers, mother-in-law of Nick Bowers, and grandmother of Duncan and Eli. And though the burial has not yet taken place, we're remembering Dr. David Rabia, father of Naomi Rabia, father-in-law of David Goldberg, and grandfather of Martin. In addition to those names, we are remembering the following yortzeits: Matilda Ahrens, Millie Barr, Abraham Benedict, Jerome Bergida, Abraham Block, Maria Blumenkrantz, Henry Bergstein, Herman Cohen, Leonard Corwin, Saul Daniels, Bell Michael Dankowitz, Margarita Duran Araujo, Helen Epstein, Maurice Finkelstein, Frances May Gartner, Della Glick, Dorothea Gehring, Sylvia Honig, Milton Eagleheimer, Jordan Jablons, Rita Kinsler, Leon Kluger, George Kasoy, Norman Lazarus, Stanley Lieberman, Joseph Meyer, Thomas Newman, Esther Pons, Nissim Rabi, Naima Rabi, Rebecca Ryman, Lorraine Ratcliffe, Esther Rosenblith, Selenel Rosenthal, Clarice Rothstein, Ivan Rubenstein, Dora Sacker, Frank Sally, Nathan Schellenberg, Max Shea, Ruth Snitz, Anna Solo, Max Stern, Stella Sturzelbach, Miriam Weil, Harriet Weinberg, Jeanette Weiss, Murray Weiss, Martha Wender, Bessie Witt, and Sydney Witt. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. As we turn to words now of Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'almad yivrach urutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon u'bchaye d'chol Beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'elma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim alenu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'el kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace over all of us, over all who mourn. And let us say,
Amen. Page 625. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'ed nasa v'cheftzot kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר
אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ויחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא עיני וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ואין צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוסי, ונד כוסי ביום נקרא. אדון עולם אשר ברא, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לאין עשה אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ויחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת ישן בהעירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת ישן בהעירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. אדון עולם אשר ברא, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לאין עשה בחפצו, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ויחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us for Kiddush in the lobby. If you're on Zoom, feel free to unmute and schmooze for a bit. Shabbat Shalom.